All right, here we go. We got Gonzoe in the house.
Finally.
You know,
I've been accepted.
Couple years in the making.
Yep.
You know, with a couple interesting twists and turns, which we'll
Yes,
talk
sir.
about
Yes, sir.
throughout the interview.
Yep.
But welcome to VladTV for the
Thank
first
you,
time.
my brother. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And you know, and this actually happened because I interviewed Boskoe.
Mm-hmm.
And in the interview, he said that you wanted to, you know,
I did.
work it out.
Yeah, I asked him to actually put you on the phone, and so we spoke and hooked it up.
We spoke after the interview off camera.
Yep.
And here we are.
Yep.
Grown man shit.
Exactly.
There we go. Well, it's your first time here. I want to start in the beginning. So you grew up in L.A.
I did.
What part?
South Central, Crenshaw District, born and raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about late 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
South Central was pretty crazy during that time.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in South Central?
Well, I mean, for me, you know, it was kind of crazy because my mom's was in the life too. My father was in the life. So, you know, I grew up in the midst of all that shit, you know what I mean? So I could vividly remember when crack first hit and, you know, the weeks before that shit hit, you feel me?
Okay, when you say in the life, what does that mean exactly?
That means my mom was, you know, an active drug dealer. You know, that's how she supported us. And my father was a pimp.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Okay. So would he have some of his girls at the house?
You
Or
know what?
He kept that separate.
You know what? My mom and my dad broke up because actually my mom, you know, she wanted to move to work. But a true pimp, you know, he want to sell some, you know, he about the women.
Yeah.
So that they ended up splitting up, you know, but still actively in my life. So it was, you know, weekends, pimping with daddy, Monday through Friday, tapping the scale.
Okay. So being around your dad and having these girls around, at what point did you realize that these were not just his friends? These were actually his employees in a way.
Well, I mean, you know, very early on, I would say, you know, when actually you go to your dad's house on the weekend and, you know, everybody's fighting for your attention as his son. So you very quickly realize that there's some sort of hierarchy going here.
Okay. And when you talk about pimping, I mean, it's glamorized, but it's a pretty hard life.
Definitely.
Dealing with a whole bunch of women with a bunch of personalities, and you're technically in a relationship with each and every one of them.
Definitely.
And then they have their own set of issues. These aren't just regular college girls that are doing this. These are girls with deep-seated problems and so forth. And, you know, and I've interviewed a lot of pimps over the years, from Don Magic Juan to Fillmore Slim and some others.
Shout out to the greats.
That's right. That's right. So would you see some of this drama kind of break out with your dad?
Definitely. I mean, in the movies and stuff, it's all, you know, that shit is all scripted. But when you on Hollywood Boulevard or, you know, Sunset back in those days, or San Diego back in those days, it was a circus. It was a zoo. It was a rodeo.
Yeah.
You know, and you're 5 and 6 years old, you know, you get to kind of roll with the punches of all the chaos. Okay. I guess.
Then your mom is selling drugs.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And that comes with a lot of drama as well.
Yeah.
So what was happening on that side of the family?
Honestly, the drug side was the smooth side. Like nothing really happened except something when it really went bad. Like somebody got shot or the police came. But on a day-to-day basis, a drug spot's supposed to be quiet.
Okay.
You know, kind of peaceful.
Well, but the drug spot wasn't where you guys lived, right?
Or no, but my mom sold weight. So, you know, her clientele was usually people that I knew that would, you know, come and, you know, interact. They would meet at Sizzler, go outside, you know, when you selling weight, it's not like people are coming and getting a you know.
Yeah, a bag.
Exactly.
Okay, but you said that things did go wrong along the way.
Definitely.
What were like some of the worst things that were going wrong?
Police kick in the door. Jackers come kick in the door with jean masks on. You know what I mean? And
you saw this?
Yeah.
So you were home when a bunch of guys kicked in the door to basically do a home invasion.
Yep.
And you're how old?
9.
9 years old.
Yeah.
How terrifying is that?
At the time, it's terrifying because, you know, you got the helicopter over your house. You got your mom and dad trying to get out of the house with, you know, people trying to figure out what's going on. But at the time, they were, you know, it was Shit was like a movie, but it's also exciting because you're 9 or 10 years old. You don't know what the hell is going on, but you know, it's crazy.
Okay, so here you are growing up in this fairly chaotic household. Crack hits LA.
Right.
Which is a big deal.
That's when it got crazy.
Yeah. What changed when crack hit?
When crack hit, it was this shit called the Batarang. So it was no more watching TV on the floor. Like you couldn't, like that was a thing. Kids used to watch TV and sit in front of the TV and, you know, in the living room. That was no more because the Batarang at any given time could come crashing through your living room and crush your kids.
That was actually happening? You heard of that in the neighborhood?
Oh,
Kids getting killed from a battle ram?
Often. There's people to this day getting paid from the LAPD from kids getting injured from the Batarang.
Yeah, thank God they got rid of that shit.
Yeah.
There was really no reason to have a damn tank in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
For, you know, criminals essentially. I mean, yeah, that was massive overkill.
To say the least.
To say the least. Okay, so crack hit, things started getting more crazy. And then the gang situation started to escalate with the crack because now the gangsters actually had an income tied to the gang itself.
Definitely. Crack hit, now we have an economy that's attached to the killing and bringing a reason to go over to the other hood and you know, claim more territory or whatever may have you. Or you could have two dope dealers get into it at the damn club on the weekend and that, you know, it was just a whole nother conundrum of problems when people that weren't educated enough to, you know, bond together. It just created more chaos.
Okay, in the area you grew up in, what gang was prevalent in that area?
60s.
Rolling 60s.
Yeah.
Crips. Did you know Big U?
Yeah.
Okay, I've interviewed him before.
Yeah.
Good dude.
Yeah.
Very good dude.
Yes.
Okay, so you're growing up in the Rolling 60s area. Do you join or do you kind of stay out the way?
Well, I mean, myself, I grew up where, you know, the dollar was like the top target. So for me to actually just really get stupid with it, my peoples wasn't really having it. So I was around it all those guys as my friends. But then just having the wherewithal enough to know where to associate yourself and where not to associate yourself, you feel me? I got love for everybody.
Okay. At what point did the rapping start?
Rapping started at Dorsey High School. I went to Dorsey High School about 10th grade. I was ditching school, and one of the cats from Kausion, it was already a group of like 5 cats that was winning talent shows all around LA. They actually had a demo deal with Capitol Records at the time.
Okay.
So I was ditching school one day and act like I was writing a rap in the library. One of the guys from Kausion had that as an elective, so he came over and seen I was writing a rap. And long story short, invited me to the studio. And we went to the studio right there on Crenshaw, made one song, put Be Real in the sample, Rolling Like a Psycho with the Windows Rolled Down. Ice Cube heard that song and wanted to sign us, and it happened to be the song that I was on. So that's how I got in the group.
Okay, and Kausion was what, 5, 6 people at that point?
At that point.
And it got whittled down to 3?
Yeah.
So what happened to the other guys?
Man, some dudes got life. Some dudes went to jail. It's a couple of them that's still, you know, around. But I didn't really have a relationship with the other guys. I only knew the guy that went to my school, and I was introduced to Kato at the studio when we recorded that song. So it was only us 3 in the studio when the shit got made.
Okay, so how did Ice Cube get wind of the music?
Well, John Singleton, rest in peace, he was shooting a movie called Higher Learning. And it was right by USC campus. So we used to go up to USC and just steal hella shit, you know what I'm saying? And just steal shit off movie sets because they was always, you know, shooting movies up there. So one day the nigga was like, this was like 6 months after we recorded the songs. Like, they back up here with these trucks. So we get on the bus, meet up over his house, and walk to USC to go steal some shit. we happened to see Ice Cube walk out a trailer. So we like, oh shit. So the stealing kind of went out the window. We was like, we got to get back on the bus, go get the tape. So we went and got the tape, waited around until we seen him, knocked on the trailer door, and he came out, got the tape, and called us another 6 months. Them niggas was graduating at the time. I'm still in high school. So he called us and said he wanted to sign the last 3, whoever was the last song on the tape, because the tape was their demo tape. Mm-hmm. That's who he wanted the group to be.
Right, and Ice Cube was huge at this time.
Today was a good day, Friday.
Right. I mean, he had already gone solo. America's Most Wanted was huge. What was the name of the second album?
America's Most Lethal Injection.
No, Lethal Injection I think was the third album. Hold on a second. Hold on. Death Certificate.
Death Certificate.
Death Certificate was the second album. The Predator was the third. Lethal Injection was the fourth.
You got the stats over there,
I got the stats.
My man got the stats.
So I'm trying to look at the overall time frame.
We came in right before Friday dropped.
Okay, yeah. So after Lethal Injection, then came, I think, Friday, which was the soundtrack to the movie. So, okay, I see. He had already dropped multiple platinum albums on top of all the NWA shit and the Eazy-E stuff that he had written and everything else like that. So he was just really the biggest artist on the West Coast, period. Right?
Yeah. Looking to invest in something new in the hood. Mm-hmm. You know, as in his words, that reminded him of NWA. Mm-hmm. And, you know, shout out to Ice Cube, first of all. And he invested, man. That shit worked, you know?
Right, and he had Lynch Mob Records.
Yes, sir.
So he signed you guys to Lynch Mob.
Signed us to Lynch Mob Records.
Who else was on Lynch Mob at the time?
KD was on Lynch Mob at the time. Shout out to KD. And I think that was it.
Gorillas in the Mist. What's the name of that group?
Yeah, the Lynch Mob. They was like just ending that.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So you sign and it's distributed through who?
Distributed through Navarre. Our shit was straight independent. That's why it kind of everybody thought it was through Priority, but the albums that we did sell made a big impact because we was like going through an independent distributor and nobody knew that. So it made a little change.
Right. And the group is called Kausion. Right. You have the chain on you right now. And it's essentially a street sign, but of a drive-by, essentially.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Why that logo?
South Central, man. It was like the perfect logo for us. You know, we done the album right there on Bryanhurst. You feel me? So it was like the shit was happening all around us while we're doing the album. We got to roll tape over again because gunshots in the back or the helicopter over us. So when a nigga came and asked like, yo, what do y'all feel this group represents? And we just wrote down a gang of shit. And he came back with this. We came back with like 4 or 5 logos. Mm-hmm. But this was the one.
Okay. The drive-by logo.
The drive-by logo representing just have caution. Like it represented so many things at the time. But now, 25 years later, it's still causing meaning. And, people still buy the stickers, etc.
So you guys dropped your debut album.
Right.
South Central Los Scandalous.
Right.
And that actually had a hit record on it.
It did.
And the name of the song was?
What You Want to Do.
Exactly. And that was really getting a lot of radio play, especially in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in L.A. And this is, 1995?
95, yep.
So here you are, fresh out of high school, signed to the biggest rapper on the coast.
Right.
You come out with a debut album, and it charts. I think it was 37 on the R&B hip hop charts, 23 on the Heat Seekers. So it's making waves.
Yeah.
But then it's got the song that's getting played all over LA and in other parts of the country as well. But really, LA was, I think, the biggest.
Exactly.
Although and I lived in the Bay, and I used to hear that on the radio all the time as well.
Yeah, we came up there a few times.
Yeah. How did that feel as a young kid experiencing that?
It felt great, man. It felt great. But to be honest with you, it all came so fast to where, we didn't really get to capitalize off of it at the moment as much as we should have. because just other things got in the way. You know what I mean? And we was great at doing the music, horrible at doing the business. So, that shit, music was changing from streaming to, physical copies to streaming. So a lot of things was just different. You know what I mean?
Well, 95, it was still physical copies.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, the streaming came more, the MP3s came around 97, 98.
Right.
Later on, the streaming came. So
gotcha.
People were still buying CDs back then.
Yeah, they was.
But eventually, you guys ended up leaving Lynch Mob Records, I guess over some disagreements over royalties? Nah,
man, we still signed the Lynch Mob. We never left.
You never left?
Nah. Like, you look at their roster, we're still on, like, we ain't, that's what the whole fucking big joke was about. It's like, we never, first of all, Q set us up to where we had more money. Like, he never robbed us, he never took no money was misappropriated or nothing. It was just us being kids and doing some shit that he warned us about. We did it anyway. He was like, all right. And that shit just festered for 20 years.
Okay, so what did he warn you about that you ended up doing anyways?
Just basically being a follower, man. You know what I'm saying? It was like we had a great situation going. And we was just hell-bent on being on Death Row Records at the time. You know what I mean? And just...
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Which was the hottest label in the world at that time.
But we had something good. You know what I mean? We was managed by them, but... It was just a lot of things that could have been different that he kind of told us how it was going to play out, and we didn't listen.
Well, you were managed by Sharitha Knight?
Yeah.
Which was Suge's baby mother.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the whole time, or did that come later?
The whole time.
The whole time?
The whole time.
So she saw something in you early, she became your manager. And is that how the Death Row connection started to kind of form through her?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So you guys started coming around Death Row.
Mm-hmm.
And what started to happen?
Going on tour with Pac, big checks from soundtracks and just everything that they were starting to do, we were doing.
Okay, so how did the meeting with Pac first happen?
I first met Pac through Corrupt. I met Corrupt at the studio one day, and here comes Pac. So,
This was after he got out of prison?
Right after. And then soon as that happened, Sharitha called us in and was like, y'all going on tour with Pac. And we was like, huh? I think it was like a Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre tour, but they had some legal issues to where Death Row had already booked all these tour dates. So they just threw Pac in there with the All Eyes on Me. And we was thrown in on that tour.
Right. And Pac was the biggest thing.
Right.
Ever when he gets out of prison. California Love drops and he's out of there.
It's a beautiful thing.
And then, the All Eyes on Me album comes out and it's out of there.
Beautiful for Cali.
So, not only is it the biggest album, but there's also all the drama that went with Pac. So it was like, All Eyes on Me was really a description of what was happening at that time. Like the whole world was staring at Tupac.
Yeah.
So you guys ended up doing what, 3 songs together?
Yep.
What are the songs?
A song called Dumpin', a song called This Life I Lead, and the third song never really had a title. It ain't really surfaced yet. I ain't never heard it since the night we did it.
Is it called Die?
Die, Dumpin', This Life I Lead. Damn, you're right.
Okay.
But I did hear that. So it's 4 songs. One of them I've never heard.
Okay.
Again.
And were these songs coming out on anywhere, or are they just...
Well, at the time when Pac was alive, every song had a purpose. He always had a new project coming out, or, I was working on my solo album over at Priority. So the whole idea was to get Tupac on the song. We got Daz and Corrupt on the song. I'm going to use the song for my solo album. That was, being put together by Ben Yang, which is Ben Baller now. He was my A&R at Priority.
Oh, really? Ben Baller was your A&R
at
Priority? Okay, that's crazy.
Crazy, right? So Ben ended up leaving Priority for a discrepancy of signing me too early. Cube was, he wasn't happy about that. So whatever happened between that, Ben ended up leaving. And my project kind of just got shifted over to Mercury. And they wasn't willing to pay for that big-ass song. So, you know how that shit go.
Okay. And I guess there was some talk about Tupac asking you to join the Outlaws while he was alive?
Yeah, I fucked with the Outlaws. That was my guy, you feel me? I even got the shit tattooed on me, you feel me? So that was what that was too. You know what I mean? That's the reason why Pac was even willing to do the shit, because it was, you know, something that was gonna help us all.
Okay, and he called you Young Ritzy Outlaw?
Yep.
Why that name?
I don't know. I have no fucking idea.
Because everyone else had a name like leaders that were like enemies with the U.S. You know what I'm saying?
Except like Storm.
I guess like Storm, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a few other motherfuckers. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
All those names are taken up.
Okay. But you're hanging around Can-Am Studios.
Yeah.
And you're seeing a lot of this stuff go down. How crazy was that time? Because you've always heard the crazy death row stories, people getting beat up, a lot of gang members around, dogs around. You know, there's I guess a room in the back that if people got out of line, they would get thrown in that back room and not come out.
Yeah, you don't want to go in the red room.
The red room.
Yeah.
What was some of the craziest shit that you were seeing during that era?
Just everything that you explained happened. You know what I mean? I've seen a few times or another, you know what I mean? But then, you know, there were times where nothing happened. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and this was very different because Ice Cube was really not about that type of environment, from what I understand.
That was the conflict.
What do you mean?
I mean, just, you know, that was the conflict. Like, y'all got a great thing going on, and we quiet over here making bread. Now y'all want to go fuck it up, and so.
Yeah, I mean, because the potential of death row, I mean, was like nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Like, the level of talent that they had at that label, I mean, from Snoop, the Dog Pound, Rage, Tupac, I mean, DJ Quick was around.
A phenomenal group of guys.
You know, Casey and JoJo were in the mix. Mary J. Blige was around. Every producer, every rapper wanted to be in it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think that would ever be, that energy will ever be created again.
Yeah.
Like, how would that would kind of be impossible.
Well, then 1996, Tupac gets killed. How did you feel when you heard that?
I threw up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad day.
Yeah.
Especially in California.
Yeah.
I remember that day.
Yeah.
And everyone thought he was going to make it, really. In the beginning, it was like, oh, Tupac got shot again.
Right.
Okay. He got shot 9 times.
Right.
He made a song about it.
Right.
He's going to make another song about this.
Right.
And he's going to talk more shit.
Right.
But then as the days are progressing, you keep hearing the news is not good. You know, he lost his lung. He's in a coma. He's this, he's that. And then you finally heard the news that he was taken off life support. Almost reminds me of the DMX story in a way. Like a whole week passed and everyone's sort of sitting there hoping for the best, but it's not happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, sad. Sad.
Yep.
You know, and I've interviewed a lot of people around, you know, the murder of Tupac. You know, everyone from Keefe D. I don't know if you saw that interview.
I did.
Who was in the car when it happened.
I did.
To Edie, that was in the car right behind him.
Right.
To Chris Carroll, the first responder. To everyone else. And essentially, the story is the story. I mean, people like to say that it was a government conspiracy. People like to say that Suge set him up.
I said everything. All that shit ran through my mind, and I believed it all at one time.
Yeah.
Like, no, the government had to do this. No, fuck that. Suge did it. I know he. Everything was possible at one time, but it's exactly what you said. It's
yeah,
like,
in 2021, I mean, really, if you watch the Keefe D interview, what he says is consistent with every other interview that I've done. People that don't know him, don't like him, you know what I'm saying, are still telling the exact same story from other sides.
Right.
Essentially, someone in that car killed Tupac because of the fight at the MGM. Now, who actually pulled the trigger? Was it Orlando? Was it someone else? We'll probably never know that.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't even really think it fucking matters, man.
It doesn't.
I don't even really think that shit even matters. it matters that happened in history, and we gotta be, like, know that we're living this shit. But 40 years from now, that event is something that it changed the course of history. Definitely.
Oh yeah. Still considered. I mean, I would say most hip hop fans will say he's the greatest rapper of all time. Now, there's going to be a debate, but I think if you look at most hip hop fans of a certain age, you'll probably hear Tupac, especially internationally. If you look at the whole world.
Right.
I think he made the biggest impact as a rapper.
Now, Vlad, that there's cats that may come with a doper bar here or there, but when you ask cats, like, who do they resonate more with, who do whose music moves you the most, they gotta say Pac.
Right.
Now, it's just dope songs. Jay-Z is a hell of a lyricist, but I mean, and he's a hell of a businessman, and anybody else who would come up in the conversation. But I mean, I feel like if you ask Jay-Z who was his favorite rapper, of course he might say Big because that's his dude, but in his heart, he knows it's Tupac.
Right. Was there any story, from the times that you guys hung out, went on tour, in the studio, whatever, that really stands out in terms of a Tupac story?
Mother's Day brunch. Mother's Day. We wasn't on tour, but it was a Mother's Day that Pac invited my whole family to, think it was a hotel in Beverly Hills. I know it was in Beverly Hills, but long story short, he just laid it all out for my aunties. My grandmother was still alive. So it meant a lot. And, that day has been played over and over and over and over and over. I didn't really know that was going to be a part of history. I just knew, like, damn, this dude is doing some shit that's thoughtful. No weed involved, no drinking involved. Like, let's go take our moms to brunch. What the fuck? And he paid for it all, him and Suge. So that's what stood out to me the most.
Yeah, I mean, Pac, he has two sides. Obviously, he had the misogynistic side, but I think he loved women more than almost anybody. Yeah. Down to his mom, his sister, the women in his life.
I would agree. I ain't never heard Pac disrespect a woman in her face. Yeah. Call her no bitch or belittle no woman. Like, I can't think back in one time that he wasn't overly generous or a gentleman.
Well, in fact, I'd heard a story. I don't remember who it was, but early on, when Pac was kind of tried his hand at selling crack, I guess a pregnant girl approached him to buy some, and after that he said, "Nah, this ain't for me. I can't do that. I can't sell crack to a
I
pregnant
can
female."
see that. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I got to go find something else.
Right.
Okay, so at one point the group officially breaks up, which was what, 97 or so.
Yes. Well, I signed the Meanest Records and then signed the Mercury Records about 97. And that's basically, after Pac died, the group basically broke up. It was kind of like a conflict of interest, a gang I told you so's, etc.
Right.
So.
Well, I guess you drop a solo album, If I Live and Nothing Happens.
I did.
And on the intro, Edie is on the intro, and he kind of introduces you as the newest member of the Outlaws.
Right.
How was that response when that came out?
No response at all. I mean, in terms of everybody was expecting that. That's why we done that. Like, it only made sense at that point to do that. And plus, to be honest with you, we was trying to get as much money as we can out of Mercury Records. You feel me?
Well, but then at one point, you and the Outlaws had a falling out.
We did.
What was that over?
That was over. We had a few falling outs. We brothers. We had a few times that, it just wasn't no social media back then. You feel me? But once social media hit and people and shit was broadcasted, that's when everybody's like, oh, these niggas is fighting. But people don't have, they don't get along all the time. Always have disagreements. It just wasn't no MySpace and none of that shit back then. Okay.
I guess you and Napoleon had a situation?
Yep, at a Yuck Mouth video shoot.
What happened?
Well, the Outlaws were supposed to sign to rap a lot.
Okay,
and
I heard that.
I guess when they went out there, some things were said that I said that I didn't say. So it was a disagreement there. And the disagreement spilled back into Los Angeles when the Yuck Mouth video shoot, because they had just got back from Houston. And a few of my guys went up there with myself. And, you know, we went in the room, me and Napoleon, we talked and, you know, had a little scuffle in the room, but the door was closed. Man, shit, you feel me?
Yeah, I mean, Napoleon was pretty hard-headed back then. Like, this is not the Napoleon of today that's Muslim and living in Saudi Arabia. And
that's my brother. That's my brother. So y'all, fast forward, you know.
Yeah.
That's my brother.
Right, and you're actually Muslim yourself as well now. Right, and I actually reached out to him. He goes, "That's my brother."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's whatever y'all want to talk about, y'all could talk about. But
right.
He did say there was an altercation, but he said, "I'm not going to get into the details."
Right.
It is what it is.
Right.
Well, I'd heard also that you actually apologized to Edie at one point, privately.
Well, I mean, yeah, and publicly. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of things that I said at that time that was caused by just a lack of having too much or too little, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, shit just spills over. So sometimes you got to man up and apologize, especially when you're trying to, you know, right your wrongs.
Right. Edie's my actual friend. Like, this is someone who I really fuck with.
Right.
We talk every week.
Right.
You know, and we had a conversation about this. He told me that there was a private apology, but there was no public apology. So the fact that you're saying publicly, I think, goes a long way in terms of
well, maybe he might not have heard it.
Well, but he'll hear it now.
Yeah, well, nigga, I'm sorry.
There you go. There you go.
No, you know, he know what it is, man. That's my bro. You feel me? But, you know, it's been a few podcasts and shit to where it's been brought up to where, you know what I mean? I don't never be trying to overstep what actually really happened. So I'm pretty sure that that's been spoke about. But there you go, my guy.
Well, the Tupac movie comes out in 2017.
Yeah.
And I started doing a lot of interviews around that.
Right.
And I think it's around that time that you got on my radar. And, definitely. And I don't remember why I blocked you, but it was probably because you were saying something crazy about me in the comments or
definitely
publicly or something. So I just ended up blocking you and keeping it moving.
Well, that was probably a smart thing to do. You know what I mean? Right. Because at that time, like I said, a lack of having more of or lack of having less than will cause you to say some shit. So at that point, if you were to argue back at me, I won. Feel me?
Right.
So that was a smart move. Chess.
Right. I'm not the back and forth. Although I've done it once or twice, in general, that's not really my thing. You know, and I went and looked up some videos that you made about me over the years.
Oh, my fucking God.
One of the things you said that you'll only do an interview with me so you and your homies could whoop my ass on camera.
How long ago was that, Vlad?
2018.
Okay.
Ain't no one getting whooped on camera either way.
No, man. You know what?
It's all love.
The thing about that is the internet will allow you to say some shit, you feel me? And then as time progresses, you know what I mean? You may not feel like that no more.
Right.
I wasn't a Muslim back then.
Okay.
Well, I was, but I'm saying I wasn't like, I was still drinking. I probably was on my shit when I wrote that.
Right. Well, the fact that I mentioned it was because I didn't think you were serious. You know what I mean? I didn't take it as a real threat.
Come on, man.
You know what I mean?
Who the fuck? I mean, come on, bro. Like, again, you could say some shit in the moment to try to get a reaction. But actually, you know what I mean? It's worth more to me sitting in the chair, being cool with you, answering your questions, feed my motherfucking kids, opposed to whooping somebody's ass in the studio and getting blackballed yet again.
Right. Right.
There it is there.
Right. I mean, you know, you call me a culture vulture. You say that.
Not only you just singling yourself out.
Yeah, no, I mean, me and Adam, I think, both got it from a few of your videos. You know, I was called the police. You claimed that.
I did think you the police, bro.
Yeah?
I swear to God.
Do you still think I'm the police?
No.
You had to think about it for a second, though.
No, I'm serious. I've already thought about it. I wouldn't even came here if I thought you was the police.
Right. I just ask questions. However you want to answer
and
it.
A lot of people has from then to now vouch for your character and your integrity. Let me put that out there.
There you go. Well, you had an issue with me doing the interview with Ayanna Jackson.
Ayanna Jackson?
That was the Tupac rape accuser.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and why is that?
Just because I know that that's not what Tupac said before he passed, you know what I mean? And at the time, I just see how when this guy could take his trash out, 10 or 15 girls is there, so I just couldn't possibly think of in my mind why he would be blamed with, raping her. And why that story would be just told over and over and over again, and that ain't fair. I mean, that's what I was saying.
Well, I mean, he got to tell his story while he was alive. He talked about that situation multiple times. Mm-hmm. She had never done an interview before on camera.
Right.
So we felt that, she had the right to tell her side of the story. And to be fair, when I talked to Man, who was Tupac's co-defendant in that case, after he had watched the whole thing, he said, more or less what she said was pretty much what happened. There were a few things that were not quite right.
Right.
But overall, it happened pretty much how she said it. And what makes it interesting as well is that, when she, the story she told when they were together, he left the room and a couple other guys came in and had sex with her. When she, afterwards, when she was all upset, started accusing him of letting it happen. Instead of him saying, get this bitch out of here, if he had just calmed her down and said, hey, I'm sorry, hold on, let's go talk. Man told me none of that would have happened. None of the arrests or anything else like that would have happened if he had just calmed her down instead of saying, get this bitch out of here. And, you and I are old enough to realize that you do not let a woman storm out of your room angry. That is always going to be a recipe for disaster on some level.
Definitely.
But, Pac is what, 20-something years old?
That's what I was about to say. It's at that time, I don't know. What was I? 10, 12? I don't know. I was a kid. So, I definitely didn't know Tupac at that time. But from his story telling me, of what happened, because I asked, it was basically that. When it was time for him to, and this is, don't quote me on this. I'm just saying, somebody that he liked, he sent the car for her. That's somebody that you respect. He, do whatever they do and go to sleep. He wake up, she done hit everybody else in the room, and now she want to kiss and toot bro, are you kidding me? You just top this dude off and you trying to come kiss me. Get her out of here. So that sounds a little bit more around the story to me. You know what I mean? And
yeah, and that's maybe what happened, But you also look at it a 2021 lens when anything even remotely like that is a big deal. If this had happened in 2021, Pac would have definitely been the villain.
Definitely.
In this case.
Definitely.
As opposed to, the early 90s.
Definitely.
At the end of the day, I just felt like she had a right to tell her story.
You're right.
And if you look at the interview, there was a few times where I kind of caught her not quite telling the right story, and I had to throw in some facts. And, people could watch it now and they could decide for themselves. They could say, I believe her or I don't believe her.
Can I say this? I had, as watching that video, and as of all your videos, I'm a fan at that moment. So when I comment, it's totally my opinion as the rest of the fucking 50,000 people. It's just maybe that minds may jump out more, but at the same time, it's it's either one side of the story or the other, and I'm picking the Tupac side.
There you go. As you should. You knew him. I didn't.
With respect to Ayanna and her kids, her family, and all the women out there, I got to ride with my boy.
There you go. Now, at one point, you're also affiliated with Yuck Mouth.
Yep.
And the regime. It
Still.
seemed like there were some kind of bumps along the road.
Always bumps with men. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you, bro, most of these guys be along for the ride. You know what I mean? And things will happen and they don't say shit. They'll just let the shit happen. A snowball will turn into an avalanche. And now they don't know how to control it. Me personally, I like to address shit when it could be talked about, and sometimes people don't want to talk and defend, whatever they're doing, and then it's a problem that's, could be discussed and squashed.
Yeah, I mean, I know Yuck Mouth. Last I checked, we were cool, but there were a couple of times when, I heard him say something crazy, and we would get on the phone, we would work it out, or sometimes he would say something crazy, and I'd ignore it, and but I've had him on my show before. I'm a fan, but Yuck Mouth is Yuck Mouth. So
that's what I was about to say. That's my bro,
yeah.
But he's unpredictable in terms of just like any other man. I don't know what the hell gonna come out his mouth, but right. I gotta ride with him because he's my bro.
There you go.
You know how that shit go.
Now I guess in October you stopped drinking.
I did.
What led up to that? Because have you been a heavy drinker your whole life?
Nah. I just started hitting the bottle hard after I started going to D.C. about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Niggas is drinkers out there, you know what I mean? So I was doing a lot of hustling in that area, or, just back and forth around that area. And a lot of people are on paper out there, so they don't really smoke a lot of weed. Niggas will smoke sherm and drink. So, just being around that crowd, I started drinking a lot more. And it ended up giving me some health problems, you know what I'm saying, with my gut. So I had to stop. And okay. It was the best move I made in my life.
And was that around the time you got more religious as well?
Definitely. Yep. Because that shit almost killed me, Vlad. I almost checked up out this motherfucker. We don't talk about it, but that shit was a bad experience to where, I had to find God and just center myself for my son, you know what I mean?
So what, you ended up in the hospital?
The whole 9. I almost died.
From what?
Literally.
Alcohol poisoning? Or?
Nah, I ripped the lining in my stomach. So, you know what I mean? It was a bad situation.
Just from drinking?
Just from drinking.
Okay.
I mean, of course, cocaine too. But if you drinking hella, you're going to want to chase it with a toot or two to come back off the, you know what I mean? That's some Hollywood shit, man.
Okay. And from years of doing that, it eventually caught up to you.
Years of doing that, years of just partying, that shit'll catch up to you. You know what I'm saying? Niggas will check out of here. And motherfuckers I don't know how he died. Nigga, you know.
I mean, unfortunately, when you see someone dying in their 40s or 50s, most times it's drug-related.
Right.
Most times.
Right.
I'm not going to say every time, but most times.
Real shit.
Yeah. And,
real shit.
I mean, especially talking about cocaine, that's a hard one right there. I had one of my really close friends overdose and die at 23, which made me say, I'm never going to try this. And at 47, I've kept that going.
Man, good for you.
Yeah. But it was just luck. I mean, had I not gone through that, I'd been around people that offered me cocaine. I would have probably,
I know you have.
I would have probably tried it. Had I not been at that funeral and saying, this is what happens at 23? Word? Oh, okay, never mind.
Right.
This is clearly not.
Yeah, that shit.
This ain't weed.
And it's nothing to play with. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing to play with. And it comes along with a lot of mental illness, bro. That shit is a mental illness, and it has to come with depression and low anxiety, just low self-esteem, just a lot of things that come with when you want to just put drugs in your body every day.
Well, not to mention how expensive it is.
That too.
And what you sometimes have to do in order to do that. I mean, cocaine is not a poor man's drug. Right?
Right. Motherfucker out there sucking a dick or two.
Right.
Oh, shit.
Woo. I'm going to leave that one alone. You and Boskoe started going back and forth.
Yeah, man.
Over what?
Just trolling, just, you know what I mean? Just being ignorant, trolling, He said some shit to me, I said some shit back to him, and it just snowballed.
Okay, so it started to snowball, and, I interviewed Boskoe recently. Right. You probably saw it.
Yeah.
And, he actually wanted to really fight you. He wanted to meet up somewhere and just...
Oh, we tried it.
What do you mean
A few times. We were supposed to meet up at the park a few times,
Okay.
It just, it was hit and miss. It just didn't happen. Thank God. You know what I mean?
So you guys are really going to just bare knuckle it in a park somewhere?
Man, meet me at 10 minutes. It was ETA. We tried this a few times, Vlad.
And what would happen? Would one person not show up?
Yep. Definitely. You know what I mean?
Well, so this was going back and forth, and then at one point, the idea of a celebrity boxing match formed. And originally it was with a different league, right? So how did that first boxing match try to come together?
Well, one of Rick Ross' boys, my boy Slab, shout out to Slab, he called me and was like, yo, you interested in fighting Boskoe? And I was like, yeah, nigga. I mean, he didn't get to the pay-per-view shit yet. So I was like, yeah, nigga, where you want to meet? We've been trying to do this. So he was like, nah, we want to do it on this pay-per-view network, and they're going to send y'all some money to train. So they sent the money to train. It's like 5 bands a piece to train. And me and Boskoe started training, but they started shifting the dates around. But as they're shifting the dates around, we are promoting this shit on the internet. So now Snoop sees the shit, and he's like, yo, he hits me and is like, Gonz, give me some information on the fight. So me and Snoop exchange information. I give him the information on the fight, and he says he wants to commentate. So we try to make that happen, and the guys on the other end, for whatever reason, they kind of didn't believe that it was real or some shit. In that moment, Snoop was like, man, we should take this shit to Triller, you know, and get y'all a guaranteed paycheck. Y'all not boxers. You don't need no percentage. This ain't no, you know, let's get a guarantee going on for y'all.
Okay.
And he made it happen.
So you guys moved to Triller.
Right.
And it was the pre-fight for the Jake Paul fight.
It was.
Okay. Now, you guys are actually very different weight classes. What's the weight difference between the two of you?
100 pounds.
100 pounds. Because he's a lot taller than you.
Yeah.
You're how tall?
I'm 5'8". He's 6'1".
Yeah. So you're talking about 5 inches and 100 pounds.
Right.
And I guess they were going to just cancel it just because the weight class is just not even similar.
They canceled it 3 times.
Okay. But I guess Snoop stepped in each time. And was like, I guess he said he's not going to do the whole thing unless you guys fight.
Yep. That's what he said. He pulled the big dog card on him.
And I guess because of the weight difference, that's why you guys wore headgear?
We did. We wore headgear, and Boskoe had 16-ounce gloves. I had 14-ounce gloves.
Okay, so you had a tiny advantage, I guess, gloves-wise. But you guys are both wearing headgear.
Right.
Although it does hurt to get hit in the face with headgear. I mean, I've boxed before.
Definitely.
Nice uppercut with headgear.
Yeah, that shit
hurts your job for the next week.
Right.
Well, I guess leading up to the fight, you ran up on him, I guess, in a bar.
Yep. Yep.
And he shoved you?
Yeah, he did. I wasn't expecting it. That 100 pounds played a huge difference in that shove. You seen it. Nigga shoved me out the camera.
Why'd you run up on him?
I mean, because we needed to sell the fight. You know what I mean? And I knew that once that shit hit the internet, that it would sell some tickets. I'm a businessman, Vlad.
Right.
Feel me?
Okay. So then you guys get in the ring. And I watched part of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
What happened from your point of view?
From my point of view, we both gassed out and got tired. Like, I smoked about an ounce of weed the day before, literally. You know, I just wasn't respecting that shit. Like, I was respecting it because I had trained my ass off. But the running part is very important. And, you know, I'm thinking, I'm good. Like, what do you mean? It's only 6 minutes. Like, I could run full speed for 6 minutes. And it was just completely different than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, everyone thinks they know how to fight or thinks they're tough until they get in the ring. And they realize that it's not a street fight.
Thank you.
It's an actual sport and an actual skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I've done some boxing before, you know, just in my local gym. And let me tell you, man, that's like the longest 2 minutes of your life. To be
all
in
the training goes out the window.
Yeah.
You go back to, you know, like I'm on a, like I understand why Tyson bit Holyfield now. Like, he just gets so frustrated. He's fuck it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you feel like somebody won?
I feel like I won. He had 100 pounds on me. You know, I came in there and it was still a draw. In any casino on the planet, I would have won that bet. This is why Triller is giving us a rematch. They have to give us a rematch.
Ah, okay. So Snoop Dogg said it was a draw.
He did.
Right? I mean, was there an official...
Snoop Dogg, Too Short, and the heavyweight, the hard-hitting diva, they said it was a draw. So I respect their judgment.
Okay. So it was voted a draw, but now they're saying there's going to be a rematch.
I mean, bro, I got a boxing ring in the hood. It's going to be a rematch if we got to set it up on VladTV. It will be a rematch.
Okay. Can you say how much you got paid for the fight?
Few hundred.
1,000?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys walked away with a real bag.
I mean, it was a blessing. That's why nigga can't say nothing to me about Snoop Dogg. Nothing. Like, nothing. Nothing. Like, bruh.
Yeah. I mean, considering you had two guys with zero boxing history. Literally zero boxing history.
I mean, gloves up, guns down, man. It's great for the culture. You know what I mean? Moving forward, it was bigger than us.
Right. And, you know, to anyone who gets in that ring and it doesn't go well, like, you know, like a Nate Robinson or whoever else, it takes a lot of guts. Number one, just to get in a ring. And number two, to get in a ring with cameras rolling.
Fact.
It takes a lot.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, during my various interviews, people suggested that I box, you know, whoever, Adam 22, and I'm like, I can guarantee you, you will never see me in a celebrity boxing match.
Nah, man.
At 47 years old, you will never see it. Period. $1 million payday, I would turn it down.
Right.
Seriously.
Honestly.
Because I just don't need to do that.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Because it takes a lot to do that.
It does.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it takes so much to do it. Now that you're saying it, I'm questioning the fucking rematch. Like, when you said, I don't need to do it, I start thinking like, damn, I don't either. Wait a minute. That shit was hard. Yeah.
Well, but you guys actually did it.
Yeah, man. Respect the Boskoe.
And from what I understand, y'all two are not beefing anymore. Y'all two are actually cool now.
Man, that's my bro.
Right.
That's my bro.
And like I said in the very beginning, he's actually the reason why this interview is even happening.
Yeah.
You know, because in the same way, I remember me and him did an interview and he had, I guess, trash talked Mob James. And I essentially got him to apologize on camera to Mob James, which squashed that whole situation. So he was like, I'm gonna return the favor and I'm gonna try to squash Vlad's shit with Gonzoe. And you know what I'm saying? It all kind of goes.
I mean, because honestly, bro, I don't got nothing against motherfuckers that fuck with me. If you fuck with me, I fuck with you. I'm like a loyal kind of guy. But if I'm on the outside, I need a way to get your fucking attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, at the end of the day, nobody got hurt. You know, no one lost money. It's just trash talking on the internet at the end of the day, which to me is not a big deal. Is honestly not a big deal. And I mean, honestly,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because if you did take it personal, I wouldn't be sitting here. So
right. And I think more people need to just get over shit, because when it comes to the internet, anyone could say anything, and you also get rewarded for bad behavior. Like, if I got on the internet right now and I said fuck somebody that everybody knows, it'd be the biggest day ever for me on Twitter.
That's crazy.
It would get 1 million retweets.
How you just said that.
Bad behavior gets rewarded on social media.
That's fucking nuts.
Put up an inspirational quote. And
right.
But you know, if you said fuck Ice Cube or something, like, oh my God, you know, here's the guy who signed Ice Cube and saying fuck Ice Cube. Right. You know, not to say that's what you mean, but I mean, that's the whole thing. Bad behavior gets rewarded, and people figure that out early on. And unfortunately, too many times it spirals into murder and physical violence and that type of thing.
Unfortunately, man.
You know what I mean? Like, I've interviewed way too many people that died over social media. Honestly, you know, FBG Duck did a song where he dissed all his dead ops, and then he gets murdered shortly afterwards. Not to say that those two things are related, but probably.
Energy, man.
Yeah, probably.
The energy is there.
And, you know, especially with this pandemic, everyone knows they're not going to see each other for a while. So there's been a lot of trash talking all over the place. And now people are going to start seeing each other. And
yeah,
who knows what's going to lead
the
to.
mask are coming off. No more hiding.
Mask are coming off, man. So what's next for you?
Man, we got Gloves Up, Guns Down. Me and Boskoe are the CEOs of that. We're just trying to line up more celebrity boxing matches and just do our thing, man. It's a company now. It's real. Shout out to Big Uncle Snoop Dogg. Shout out to Triller and, you know, everybody else that's involved. My little brother Highway, Preach, Slab, Trub. You know, we just try and make some waves, man, and stop the killing in hip-hop.
Okay, so you guys have other celebrity boxing matches with other people coming up?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, shit.
Can you say who it is?
I mean, we trying to line up some shit. I can't really say nothing right now, but Gilly, you know, he could come get a fade or two. You know, we had Daz calling in wanting to fight somebody, you know. Okay. I just heard Game talking about he want to beat up Logan Paul or Jake Paul, either one of them. So, I mean, this shit is growing. Now, that fight, of course, if Jake Paul fight the Game, if I could somehow Don King my way and letting that be a Gloves Up, Guns Down event, then you know I'm doing my motherfucking thing. But it seems that, you know, that may supersede us, but we'll have a battle on that if that happens, guaranteed.
Yeah, if that happens, I mean, I know Game. Game versus Jake Paul would be a fight.
This is what bro.
That would be a fight.
Bro. Now that, you know what I mean?
That would be a fight because honestly, I mean, Jake is no slouch.
He's not a slouch, and I feel like if Game, like if that dude didn't smoke and then went, because he already works out and shit. Yeah, from what I see.
He's already in great shape.
That would be a fucking dog fight.
Yeah.
Great to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, when you step in that ring, you always take the Nate Robinson chance. You always take the chance that you might get knocked out cold and become a meme for the next 5 years. Yeah. Right?
I mean, if Game steps in there, that'll definitely tell me a few things about his character because he's watching this other kid knock cats out. Yeah. So to, you know, take that challenge, you know, respect to that dude.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. You know, I think I remember back in the day, Game was supposed to box Gucci Mane.
Was he?
I'd heard that a long time ago. It obviously never happened.
The old Gucci Man or the
old
new
Gucci? The Gucci with the tummy.
Okay, tummy Gucci.
The tummy Gucci. Right. Not the new slim Gucci.
Got you.
Not the clone Gucci. The pre-clone.
Okay, got you.
The pre-clone Gucci.
Got you.
Because Gucci is a big dude too. He's like 6'3".
Played football, didn't he?
Oh, I'm sure he did. Yeah. I'm sure he did. Yeah. So I mean, I would love to see Game in a ring.
Man.
You know, we'll see what happens. All right, man. Well, listen, Gonzoe. Appreciate it. You know, I feel like this is some grown man shit that we're doing here.
Yes, sir.
You know, you could, because if you go on the internet, there's still the trash talk and everything, and it is what it is.
This will supersede everything, man.
This will supersede everything. This will be bigger than all the other shit, all the little shit. You know, people got to, you know, hear your story. And, you know, at the end of the day, that first Kausion album, I think is a West Coast classic.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
It really is. I got a chance to listen to it again on the way here.
Thank you.
And between the production, the lyrics, the way you guys were spitting, the aggression.
Thank you, my brother.
You know, and the imagery of what you guys put together. I think it was one of these albums that I think people kind of slept on, probably because it was partially independent.
Yep.
You know, I mean, when you said it, I'm like, okay, now it makes sense why it wasn't on the top shelves, you know, at Tower Records.
Exactly.
And you know, and everything else like that. But to this day, I think that was a very dope album.
Thank you, man.
And, you know, you have that to stand on.
Thank you, man.
On top of all the other stuff that you put in over the
Thank
years,
you, man. I appreciate it.
No doubt, man. Well, until next time, all the best.
Yep. Thank you, man. VladTV.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.